5 steps you must master to get your first real estate wholesaling deal. What is up, guys? Zach Ginn here, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to get your first real estate wholesaling deal by doing these 5 steps. Guys, I've done thousands of real estate wholesaling deals, and I'm going to show you exactly how to get your first deal, and I promise you it's not as complicated as the gurus and the other influencers seem. It's actually a very, very simple process, and you have to do these 5 steps. And that's pretty much it. So let's get into step 1. Before we get into it, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe, and let's talk about it. So step 1, this is finding motivated sellers. This is finding somebody who wants to sell their property for cash, get rid of it, and for us to get a discount on the property. Guys, remember in the real estate wholesaling process, I find somebody that wants to sell their property for below the market value, and they're willing to do it, and they actually want to. They want to get rid of it. Think of a used car thing. You know, why do you trade in your used car? Because it's speedy, it's convenient. You can go to Auto Trader. You can actually go post it online, meet someone in the back of a Starbucks, do the VIN numbers and all this stuff. But for a lot of people, it's complicated. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to pay fees with it. They don't like the whole stressful thing of it. And they want to just go and just get rid of it quick for cash, right? And a lot of it's an ugly beat up car. This is an ugly beat up house. We put the property under contract. Then we use a title company. We actually give our earnest money to the title company. And then what we do from there, which is not as complicated as you think, we'll kind of explain it a little more in this video. Then we sell it to either a rich landlord or a house flipper, usually for a big finder's fee, maybe a $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 assignment fee. We're basically assigning, we're selling the contract. And at the end of the day, the title company is going to collect the money from the cash buyer. So let's say put a property under contract for $100,000. I sell it for $110,000, the deal to a cash buyer. That means at closing, the cash buyer is going to give $110,000 to the title company, $100,000 we agree to the seller to them, and then a $10,000 little check right there. Boom. It's amazing, guys. It's awesome. So the moral of the entire process is the most important part is finding that person who wants to get rid of the property for cash that just wants to sell it, right? And for a lot of people, this is the most confusing part, and that's the hardest part, and that's the part where I spend a lot of my efforts on because it is the part you have to master first, and it's probably one of the most complicated parts for a lot of beginners out here, but you have to find these sellers, these people want to get rid of the property, and this is going to be the thing that nobody talks about, guys. If you want to go find a list of people that want to get rid of their property for cash, usually an ugly house, why don't we just go grab a list of someone who's actually pulled this information for us, and this is your local government. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I hate the government. I love the government, like all this stuff, guys. Your government collects a lot of data on you. And you know what? I am not getting political on this, but like, hey, like the government collects data on you, okay? If there's something personal going on, they're going to collect data on you. So why don't we collect that data ourselves, get that list they have, and use it for us to profit for wholesaling real estate, right? I mean, I can't really argue for or against it, but hey, I'm going to use that data and make money off of it. So one of the best ones out here is actually the code violation list. A code violation list is basically a list of your code enforcement. Code enforcement basically makes sure that the city's all clean, right? There's certain codes. You have to have your grass not tall. Your property can't have structural damage, can't look ugly, there can't be mold on the property, right? Stuff like that. The windows can't be broken. So it's very important. Code enforcement goes out here and enforces it. And if you have really tall grass, ugly looking house, right, they're going to start fining you. And again, I don't have any opinion on this, but they actually have a list of these properties. They're called code violations. And usually they're ugly houses with tall grass. I think you guys have seen houses like that, usually abandoned, right, just sitting there. Guess what? If I can get that list, talk to that seller and see if they just want to get rid of that property, I could probably get a really good deal on it. And then, hey, I can profit really good. And it's a win-win because the seller's really happy with it. So we get that list from the code enforcement department. Guys, at freewholesaling.com, you're going to see this link like talked all the time on this channel. That's my free real estate wholesaling course. Costs $0. I actually show you how to go online on your computer, boop, 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 actually pull that list absolutely for free. It's an amazing list to pull. That's probably gonna be the first one we can do there. You can actually contact your probates. These are people that passed away and actually want to go to the people that are the heirs of the property, see if they want to sell their house. You actually wholesale deals. Like, let me give you one last example, right? The water shut-off list, guys. Like, have you ever been camping? I've been camping before when there's no running water. You can't wash your hands. You know, the toiletry situation's a little different going camping, right? It's not fun not having running water near you, right? Can you imagine if you're not paying your water bill and there's no water on the property? It's going to be miserable, right? Either the property's just sitting there abandoned or someone's living there miserable without, you know, any running water. They probably just want to get rid of the property and just call it off, right? It seems like a really good list. Guys, it's a very profitable list. It's called the water shutoff list. And you go to your counties, your local county's public utility department, and ask for a list of all the water shutoffs, basically a list of all the people that did not pay their water bill, and it is shut off. It's really just a quick list. The water department goes out here, shuts it off. Guys, get lists like this. People are behind on their taxes. People are behind on their mortgage. Guys, the list goes on and on forever. Like I could probably give you 50 ways to find motivated sellers. All at freewholesaling.com actually do and actually show you. A lot of people in this industry, they'll tell you what to do. I actually show you what to do. It's all at freewholesaling.com. But this is step one of finding these motivated sellers. Once I get that list, I'm going to go get their phone number and actually call them up. How do you get their phone number? There's free and paid ways to do it, guys. I teach wholesaling for free too. That's a big thing I like doing. If you want to find anyone's phone number for free, so if I find somebody, Ed Johnson at 123 Main Street in Houston, Texas, right? If I want to get his number, I'm just going to go to truepeoplesearch.com and actually get their phone number, right? You put their name and where the city they live, or you can just put the address on it. And get basically 50 to 60% accuracy. You're going to get their real phone number. Works really, really well. And you go to white pages, stuff like that. Or you can pay a service, right? There's a lot of paid services like listri.com, zachdata.com. You got to pay some money to get their phone number. You pull a list like that. But really, on listri.com, you can pull a list of all the vacant houses. That works, right? But what I can tell you is you don't have to pay for this. A lot of people tell you have to pay to get in this business. It's not a pay-for-play business. A lot of gurus like thinking about it, but it's not. But step one, we're going to get their phone number. We're going to call them up, get like a Google Voice. Call them, say, hey, are you the owner of the house and you're looking to sell it, right? And this brings it back to the step one, which is finding a motivated seller. So if somebody wants to sell their property for cash, that's pretty much the only qualifier. Like for beginners, we can ask other questions. I teach at freewholesaling.com. There's like scripts. So when someone answers the phone, I have a script for you what to say. It's all at freewholesaling.com. So it's not complicated. A lot of people complicate this. You got to buy my $10,000 course, guys. It's free. But use my script at freewholesaling.com. I kind of explain it. And then it goes into step two, which is once we find somebody that wants to sell their house, we're going to meet them at the property. Talk to them. Hey, this seems stressful. We're going to figure out what the property is worth, right? Guys, you got to learn how the ARV, the repairs. Guys, I know it's really confusing starting out. But the honest truth is, if you follow my scripts, if you follow my comping guide at freewholesaling.com, it's going to be really, really easy. But all you got to do is go to the property and more or less a cash buyer, someone's going to pay for this, like $100,000 for the house, right? I do my calculations. If someone's willing to pay $100K for it, why don't I offer them $80,000 for the house, right? And they might say, oh, I can't do 80. I could probably do 95. Well, can you do 90? And I'm like, yeah, sure, 90. We're going to write up a contract, basically a piece of paper saying, hey, my name, Zach Ginn, I agree to buy Ed Johnston's house for $90,000. And you basically write everything on here. The most important thing you got to know about contracts is there's this thing called the inspection period. The inspection period is basically our get out of jail free clause. Basically, within a 30-day period, I can get out of the contract whenever I want. And a lot of people think, oh, that's something all wholesalers do. Guys, realtors do that all the time. I have properties all the time I flip, and the realtor just gets out of the contract the very last day with their inspection period because that's what realtors do. A lot of them actually do that. Now, nothing against realtors, but it's standard in real estate to have an inspection period where within 15, 7, whenever arbitrary amount of days, you just get out of the deal whenever you want to at basically any discretion. So I like to do 30 to 45 days on there. A lot of people get stressed out. What if I can't sell the deal? That's the cool part about the contract. You can get out of the contract within 30 days. That means if you're on day 29 or 30 and you can't sell the deal, just get out of it, right? You have to write the seller up, maybe an email, a letter, or call them up, usually texting them, showing written proof, and you'll be fine. You're not going to get sued, any of this stuff. Just do it within. It's kind of like a free trial, right? You get a 7-day free trial to something. Maybe you can get out within that 7 days. If you get out day 8, you're stuck with the trial, right? If you get out day 6, you're going to be fine, have reminder stuff like that. But that's how the inspection period works. No one really explains it too much like that. But that's why I'm not stressed to get a property under contract. I don't care. I'm not stressed out over it because I have that for me. And it works really, really well. Number 3 here. Basically, what we're going to do is write that contract up. We send that to title, right? So that's going to be number 3 here. We're going to send the property to the title company. Now, the title company is that third-party service. That's kind of like that middleman in the transaction. They collect the money. They give it to the seller. They make sure the property's clear. They make sure the actual owner. It's a little more complicated to provide title insurance. I'm really not here to get you you don't really have to know this stuff too much. At freewholesaling.com, we really explain this. But really, once we get the title company, step here is we're going to find the cash buyer. That's the person that's going to buy the property for more than what we paid for it. How do we find a cash buyer, right? There's 3 main ways, I would say. Number one is, so let's go back to your cash buyers. There's usually, for 96% of wholesaling deals, especially when it comes to the cash buyer is either one of two things. The cash buyer is either a landlord or a house flipper. That's why I always say a rich landlord or a house flipper, right? Somebody that wants to buy the property, just rent it out, or somebody that wants to buy the house, put some renovations in the property, kind of do that whole TV house flipping thing and then flip it for a big profit. There's a lot of risk in that. Guys, don't get in the flipping. Wholesaling is a lot more profitable I've seen, and I kind of do both a little more. But what I can tell you is we're going to find that person. So let's talk about the first thing, right? If I want to find somebody that is buying properties and renting them out, how am I going to go find that? The for rents, dummy, right? Like, that's the way I look at it, right? If they're buying properties and renting them out, they're going to list the property for rent. So what are you going to do? Go to Zillow and just call the for rent and say, hey, you're looking to buy more rentals? I'm looking to sell some deals. I'm wholesaling it. Basically explain the sound of contracts. A lot of them are okay with it. Boom, you find a cash buyer. So the first part is cold calling the for rents. Another good part is how we find the house flippers, right? You actually cold call cash sales. There's paid services. There's free services. But more or less, you can cold call the cash sales on a service like listria.com or zachdata.com. Or you go to Facebook groups. A lot of cash buyers are in real estate investing groups. And you just go to the Memphis Real Estate Investing Group or Association group, right? And you actually go out here and use the scripts I say. You can actually just post key ad things in there. Like, hey, I'm looking to sell some deals in the blank, blank, blank zip code. If you're looking to buy any properties for a discount, if you're a cash buyer, DM me, comment below, stuff like that. Get a lot of cash buyers on here. You actually find cash buyers saying, hey, I'm a cash buyer on the comments of these groups. You can DM them. I'll show you exactly what they say at freewholesaling.com. Now, once we find that cash buyer, we want to ask them some questions like, hey, are you a legit cash buyer? Do you actually have the money in your bank account? Are you okay using my title company? Like very basic questions and scripts I teach at freewholesaling.com. You ask them the right question, and more or less, if they're going to buy the property cash and they're good to go, walk them through the house. And how do you walk somebody through the house? Just, hey, you want to buy the property? Well, go look, put your eyes on it, guys. I get this question asked all the time. Do I have to have the cash buyer do a walkthrough? The answer is always yes. Okay. If you're going to buy a car, you want to test drive it. If you're going to buy a piece of real estate, you want to look at it. Guys, that's the difference when a lot of people buy real estate over stocks is because real estate, you can look at it, you can touch it, you can feel it. Like it's a tangible asset. That's the point, right? And the best buyers are actually going to look at the house because they're legitimately serious. A lot of cash buyers aren't legit, don't want to look at the house. That could be a red flag of concern. So just understand that. They're going to walk through the house. Hear the seller's there. You're going to talk to the seller. The cash buyer's going to look through it, make sure it's good for flipping. And then they're going to agree on the price. Hey, Zach, I bought this for 100 because you said 100. Okay, 100 works. We're going to write up a second piece of paper. So we have two pieces of paper in wholesaling real estate. We have a purchase and sale agreement, which is that piece of paper we wrote to buy the house, hence the name purchase and sale agreement. And then we have the assignment of contract. The assignment of contract is basically a piece of paper showing that I'm selling my contract. In real estate wholesaling, we don't sell the house when we put it on a contract. We sell the piece of paper because the seller owns the house, right? The assignment of contract is just us selling our part of the deal to the seller for a finder's fee. $5, $10, $15, $20, $30,000, right? My biggest one's over $100,000, which is pretty good. That's not every deal, but it's pretty good. So we're going to walk through, and once they're okay with it, we're going to meet a secondary location, and then we're just going to have an assignment of contract, basically say, hey, my name's Zach Ginn, agrees to sell to Mr. Cash Buyer for a $10,000 assignment fee. So he's going to pay $100,000 for the house, and that cash buyer is really happy about that. Ready to go. We send it to the title company, and then they get all the paperwork good, and we're good to go. Step 5, the last part here is we're just going to go to the closing, right? The closing is pretty much as what you could think. It is basically the end of the transaction. It's actually when everything closes more or less, or when the transaction's finalized. The cash buyer brings the money, they wire it, or they send the money through. Basically, that money goes to the title company. They give the portion to the seller that you agreed to the seller. Then you get your assignment fee and check, and then you get that money, and you just wholesaled your first real estate wholesaling deal. The key on this transaction is actually going and finding the motivated seller. That's probably 60-70% of the battle is just finding that motivated seller. That's where I teach the most at freewholesaling.com. The biggest module shocking in freewholesaling.com is marketing, finding sellers. Guys, wholesaling real estate is not as confusing as it seems. You do have to put in the work for wholesaling real estate, but if you're doing the work, you'll get the success, and that's the most important part, guys. If you got any value from this video, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. Let me know what step you need the most help with. I'd love to answer the comments, guys. I answer every single comment below. So go comment and I will go help you out, guys. Go to freewholesaling.com. I explain these steps in a lot more detail. I don't have a 15-minute video. I don't have 4 or 5 hours to break down the entire process in 15 minutes like I have here, but I really want to give you a quick overview so you can get your first deal, guys. Get marketing. Go to freewholesaling.com. Smash the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you soon. This is Zach Ginn signing out. Have a blessed one.